I thought I would do a video because twice in just under a week I've jumped to the wrong conclusion that an item hasn't been working, whereas in fact it was what a colleague of mine describes as a PEBCAD case. PEBCAD meaning problem exists between chair and desk, or in other words, it was me getting it wrong. So the short version of the video is don't automatically jump to the conclusion that something is broken just because it doesn't seem to be working the way you were expecting it to. And the two examples, if you want to watch the longer version of this, is this telescopic antenna and this automatic antenna matching unit. The telescopic antenna I bought at the Canvey Rally a couple of weeks back. It didn't come in a box, it was being sold second-hand by a radio club, but it had a sticker on the bottom of it that said 20 metres. And I'm not going to extend it here because there isn't room, but the length of this plus the size of the loading coil at the bottom made 20 metres sound plausible. When I got it home, I connected it up to my FT817, put a counterpoise on the back of it, and the SWR on 20 metres was absolutely through the roof. So my first thoughts were either the 817 is broken, it wasn't, or there was a problem with this telescopic antenna. And I thought, am I going to have to try to disassemble that and get the BNC off and all that kind of thing? And I thought it was 20 metres because the loading coil here, the size of it makes 20 metres sound plausible. Long story short, just before I decided to do some possibly destructive maintenance, I thought I'll try it on other bands, and eventually I found out that 15 metres gave me a flat 1-to-1 SWR curve rather. So nothing wrong with the antenna at all, it's just that the homebrew label was wrong, and as you might be able to see with a blue pen, I've scribbled out the number 20 and written the number 15 on there instead. So that was that one. Last year at the National Hamfest I bought an automatic antenna matching unit, the ATU 100-0A, and you charge it up using this USB socket here. And I'm aware that the construction quality isn't the greatest. There are a few videos on YouTube that will tell you that, although they tend to be videos of the ATU 100 rather than the 0A. I assume this is a more recent model. So I charged it up when I first got it. It came with a supplied USB cable like that, and then didn't use it much for the intervening months, and then I've used it this weekend just gone, and I thought, right, I better charge it up again now. So I thought, oh yeah, I know what size that is. I've got a USB cable that will fit that, because after all that plug there looks the same shape and size as that socket, right? And it just wouldn't fit. And I was convinced that there was a problem with the socket, maybe through poor quality components. That led me to actually take the lid off. I managed to lose one of the screws whilst doing that. And incidentally, if you've got one of these, if you think that there is a long and thin high capacity lithium ion battery in there, there isn't. Down the end here there's one of those chunky little rectangular batteries with 3.7 volts 1500 milliamp hours printed on it. I don't really know how much I believe that rating, but that's what it says. So I took it apart and that is glued in from the back, and I thought I'm going to have trouble getting that out, until I suddenly realised I had the supplied cable in the box. So even though that looks the same as that, I thought, I wonder. So I tried plugging that in and it fitted, and it charged up quite happily. Incidentally, the battery was still pretty much fully charged 5-6 months after I bought this, so there can't be much, if any, quiescent current parasitic battery drain. I was quite impressed with how well that held up. So there we are. I was just about to get the soldering iron out and think about replacing that socket, thinking that was broken, and it wasn't. I was trying to stick the wrong type of USB connector in it. So I hope that this video will stop anybody else wasting as much time as I did. And to emphasise once again, if something isn't working, don't just automatically jump to the conclusion that it's broken. It might be not broken at all, but it might be that it's mislabelled, or you might be making a mistake, the wrong USB size cable for example. So think about things like that before you do anything drastic. 7-3.